The currency war is underway. OPEC, with the shocking announcement that they're cutting supply, is definitely sending some ripples through the market. We're going to get into that and more on today's show. As we get going, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. Nothing we say here on Money Never Sleeps is financial advice. We are a couple of guys who love talking about the markets, nerding out on this stuff. So please, before you do any buying and selling, research more on your own. Like I said, we are not financial advisors, but damn, it has been a wild start to the week. Usually the weekends are pretty chill, but yesterday the OPEC chose violence, and they decided that they were going to, in a surprise move that apparently the White House knew about in advance, cut their output by 1 million barrels a day. That is not a small amount of oil. It is sending predictions out there that we're going to see oil barrels back to $100. I'm not surprised. You and I talked about oil becoming oil barons, about a month or two ago, and we really should have followed through on that and bought oil back when it was low. It's back over $80 a barrel today. We were talking about it when it was around 65, 70. So we missed out on that one, Kev, but I still think there's more room for it to run there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that's the case for oil being back to 100, even a little bit over. I think that's a very valid and reasonable case. Again, energy is one of the most important things when the Fed looks at, inflation data. And when we see oil shooting up, it's not necessarily looking good for the future outlook. I saw that Bullard, he's the Fed of St. Louis, and he was saying that maybe we have to raise it above 5%. That was him speaking today, and that's just based off of the oil news. And we're one day into this. This could potentially lead into something a little bit stickier than people were anticipating. No one really expected this going into Q2. Maybe we did. We did see the signs leading into it. There's definitely signs that oil might have been spiking, but point is, this is not good for the macro outlook, and it's definitely not good for the battle against inflation.
Yeah, the CME group probabilities as of right now, 42% chance of no rate hike, 58% chance of 25 basis point hike. I don't see that number is a bit ridiculous. Riggs, what is up? Thank you for being here. We are talking about oil and how fucked the U.S. is. The question that I have, I've heard some people say that like, oh, this was the oil cartel and just their way of protecting themselves. Maybe that's the case, or is this like a low-key way that a lot of these countries are working with China and Russia and are attacking the U.S.? And I say that because we've seen what has happened to the banks over here with these higher interest rates. They know when they cut supply, it's going to lead to an increase in price. That's going to lead to more inflation. That is going to lead to the Fed potentially having to raise rates higher, like you just talked about with Ballard speaking today. That in turn is going to continue to hurt these banks. Is this a form of these countries kind of like waging a financial war against the United States?
Maybe. It definitely seems like if they were going to attack the United States without using nukes, it's a pretty good way to do it. You're going to hurt a lot of people, a lot of Americans. Obviously, people know how much debt the United States is in. This is not going to help them in any way. Again, the United States doesn't really care about that. They just push it down 40 years from now. Someone else's problem. Point is, your kids are going to be screwed. But definitely really insane to see this happen. Again, it's not too different. I think a lot of nations do this. I know that we definitely did it when Russia invaded Ukraine. We attacked their economy. And, we pretty much made their the ruble was pretty much devalued, and just by slapping on sanctions, like no trade with them. And it's a pretty strategic move if this is the case. Obviously it's an act of war. We've been talking about war since the invasion back in February of 2022.
Yep.
This could be the way wars in the future are fought. Again, if we don't want anyone to be technically going to war, shooting nukes or shooting missiles, boots on the ground, maybe it's just economic and it's all like intel and data. Maybe it's just sending weather balloons over countries and just making oil really expensive. So if that's the case, definitely gives us tons of opportunity for people who know how to play the markets.
Yeah, for sure. We try not to talk politics on this show, but I mean, this administration is just an absolute dumpster fire. Like their inability to create any form of I don't like Saudi Arabia, but the fact that they this continues to happen and they cannot do anything to fix that relationship and not, they're just railroading us right here. Like, because I want to say Saudi Arabia made up half of the supply in this latest cut. So they're cutting 500,000 barrels a day. Like that's no small amount, and that's not the kind of thing you do to a country that you're on good terms with. So definitely problematic there. Let's not get, we don't need to dwell on this for too long because Lord knows you and I are not experts. We are not oil barons quite yet. So looking ahead to this week, we do have some pretty big numbers coming out. We saw some manufacturing data this morning came out. Wasn't looking great. I think your prediction that we're already in a recession could be coming to fruition. If we continue to see demand go down, we're having to import more, export less. I think we could be on our way to that recession that you've been predicting for a little while now. And some of this data is beginning to back that up as well. So that is what we saw today. We have the JOLTS report tomorrow. We have more, manufacturing data from factory orders tomorrow as well. The biggest thing this week is going to be the unemployment rate. Does it stay at 3.6%? How many jobs did we add? We're seeing a lot of layoffs. Like, we had news that there's also, good morning, Mr. House. There's corporate layoffs coming to McDonald's on a pretty big scale. Like, I think they, from what I could see, McDonald's canceled all their meetings Monday through Wednesday with their corporate teams and are just preparing for layoffs. So that is not great. Now, granted, the stock has responded pretty well to that because, hey, they're just going to have less salaries to worry about. So that has been an interesting start to the week. We will begin to see Q2 earnings coming out in the weeks ahead. And I know you want to talk about Tesla because you began discussing shorting them the other day, and they are getting their teeth kicked in right now. So why don't you quickly take your victory lap and then tell us why you're so bearish on Tesla?
Let me unmute myself.
There you
definitely.
go.
It's I was looking at Tesla and a lot of stocks in the NASDAQ on Friday, and I'm not gonna brag and say I told you so, but there was just a lot of signs going into Q2 that potentially we could see something negative. And the main thing for me was just how they cut price on a lot of their vehicles. Usually you don't do that. I don't think Tesla and Apple are two companies where it's like they don't necessarily need to lower any prices. People will buy them regardless. That's the name brand. You know what I mean? There's a couple of companies that just don't go on sale ever. I would assume that Tesla would be one because the people who are going to buy a Tesla are going to be the people who can afford a Tesla. But so the point is they cut it, and that just shows me that some liquidity is better than no liquidity at all. They maybe didn't boost sales a ton. It was pretty much insignificant. And we saw some of that attack the shareholders price today. We were at 209, 207 at the open. What was it? 207, 207.79, and currently we're at 194.22. So if you got into a short Friday going into Monday, you're pretty good profit right now. But I don't think the worst is over for Tesla. I'm still looking at it as being a really big move to the downside. And I'm just going to share this real quick because we were talking about Tesla back in December and where it would finally bounce from, and that was a huge move from where it bounced. So we're back here January, December. My target was 110. We came all the way down to about 101, so a little bit under. But then I figured it was going to have a small bounce before it just goes back down to what I think is the most reasonable level, and it's right around $67, $64, $67 right there.
I love how your prediction is like a 70% drawdown. You say that's the most reasonable one.
Yeah, it is. But that was just a target area I was looking at. I'm like, all right, we're at 110. We're probably going to bounce a little bit, and then we'll just as the entire market falls with everything, I was anticipating that 45 to 50% drop, on par with other recessions that we've had over the past 2 decades. But when I'm looking at this right now, that little bounce turned out to be a short squeeze that pretty much liquidated a lot of people going short. Came all the way up to 213 or something like that, bounced off the 200 EMA on the daily. 216, that's the high that we put in so far, but it's extremely overbought, and I don't think the worst is yet to come for this or anything else in the NASDAQ. I think we're just seeing a lot of right now reaction to the news that we kind of already knew. And I don't think this is an overreaction at all for Tesla. I think if anything, over the next few weeks, this might be an underreaction. Probably see it dip down the further we go into this year.
Kevin, question I have for you. Do you think that Tesla's dip today, because it's down about 6.3%, do you think that's why Elon put the Doge symbol in the top left corner of Twitter to pump that coin up to offset his losses in Tesla? Can we put on our conspiracy theory hats for a second here and and bring that up?
100%. I couldn't agree more.
For those who don't know what I'm talking about, if you have a Twitter account and you go to Twitter, on the homepage, if you're waiting for it to load, instead of the Twitter bird, it's the Doge dog. And same thing in the top left corner of the screen on my computer here, the Doge dog is there. And we just pull up the Doge chart real quick, Kevin, so we can look at that giant green dildo.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a pretty big one. Let's go to Doge USDT. I'm just gonna pull it up on KuCoin right now. But that's a daily. That is the daily right there. Obviously, it's been trading pretty freaking low. And today it decided to go as low as 0.07, so 7 cents. And then we wicked all the way up to here, which is about 10.5 cents. So pretty good move. 26.94% up right now. So, that's not no small potatoes there. That's pretty good pump. But why is this? Because of Twitter. If this is the reasoning we're bullish, I couldn't be more bearish.
Are you going to enter a short here at 10 cents?
No, I'm going to wait because I'm going to be a patient boy. I think there still needs to be one more short squeeze for retail to pretty much dump their life savings into. Then maybe I'll enter a few shorts. But again, I'm not doing anything too hasty. If I should have entered a short, it would have been Tesla on Friday. But at Doge, I'm looking at this. I don't know. The Doge army is pretty freaking wild, man. Those kids, they will hold on for dear life. I mean, they'll hold on like Tom Cruise held on to that plane in Mission Impossible. They will not let go.
Mr. House, we did see a few ETH candles. Wicked up to 1840, still around like 1830 right now. It's pretty good number. And then rigs, there a lot of people are going to be getting laid off. Unfortunately, they are not immune. The big players are not. And in the coming months with those layoffs, we also, like we talked about on Friday, have student debt payments or student loan payments starting back up. So there's just, man, I don't want to get too bearish, and I want to make sure that we stay reasonable and try not to go too far in either extreme. But it just feels right now like a lot of these valuations are just a gift from God to sell and accumulate cash and wait for the inevitable pullback, because it still looks really bad. Like it's ugly out there for the US markets. Like it's really bad. Now, that being said, we are seeing crypto incredibly resilient right now. And I think we do have to take into account that there's more to the world than just the US markets. Now, Europe's also having their issues, and this whole energy crisis is going to impact them as well. We've seen a lot of I saw a story about Japan broke the treaty that they had with all these countries that they wouldn't buy Russian oil over 60 a barrel. It's cutthroat out there right now, man. And some of these countries are going to get absolutely destroyed. And it wouldn't be surprising if the US was one of them.
Oh, 100%. I think there's a lot of bad decisions. And I always bring up 2008 because I do not think what happened in 2008 is uncorrelated to what's happening now. It's absolutely correlated. And it's just a matter of pushing things that should have been solved back then to a later date. And that later date is today. And then, printing all that money in 2020 absolutely just accelerated the problem even more. But when I look at this, I still in terms of unemployment, financial sectors, retail, for the food industry, what else? Tech. I mean, there are so many jobs that need to be lost. I don't mean to say that and I want them to be lost, but it's just realistically these jobs have to be lost. We need to at least double our unemployment rate for it to be to a point where there's not a lot of money circulating in supply. Right now, people are extremely, extremely bullish and greedy and leveraging so much debt. It's freaking insane. And we're seeing some of these numbers finally come out, painting a little bit of a worse picture. We're gonna get some more info on jobs tomorrow, but this is absolutely crazy. And then we look at the global economy, like Canada. Canada is getting whacked. They expect it to be bad for them. Japan is another country where they're the third largest economy in the entire world. they've been getting hurt. They've been hurt for the past 6-7 months. Bank of Japan. I don't know if they raised rates fast enough, but they're going to have to raise rates for them. And there's tons of tech is 100% Japan, China. So the Asian markets, they're seeing some effect. Obviously, some are better poised to be better off leading into this, but this could be 100% a global recession to the point where very few countries are left unscathed. But for the most part, I think this is going to affect everyone across the globe. It's going to be really scary to see, but no one sees it right now, and all you have to do is look. And I'm sorry, that's the exact same thing that happened in 2008. The answers are right there in front of you.
Yeah, commercial real estate, we're still waiting on that bubble to burst. I saw some more data, like in some of these major cities. I want to say San Francisco, 25% of their commercial office space is not being used. New York City is around like 20 to 22%. Like, it's bad out there, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. And we haven't seen, the ramifications of it yet, and it's going to happen eventually.
100%.
So, unfortunately, what's going to be other people's pain is going to be opportunity for those who are ready to capitalize on it. And I intend to be one of those people to capitalize on it. So I'm just going to stay the course. I'm going to sound like George Bush from SNL. If you kids get that reference, stay the course, 1,000 points of light. We're going to get there. It's going to be okay. And I just want to use this opportunity. We're going to accumulate wealth over the course of the coming years, Kevin, and then we're going to keep that wealth, damn it. And part of how we're going to do that is just being patient and not falling for these traps.
In the words of George Bush, that's some good strategery right there. But
Yep.
One of my favorite quotes from him. But definitely a lot of crazy shit going on. And I'm also like a little bit skeptical right now with a lot of financial institutions. Like I was telling you about JP Morgan, this is the head of investments at JP Morgan on Bloomberg this morning saying that oil prices going up is disinflationary. On what planet? I don't know, but it's definitely not this one. And
did he provide any additional context or rationale for that statement, or he just say it?
He did probably say something more to it, but I was so mad and I threw the remote at the screen and I was just like, went straight to Twitter just to say, this guy's a fucking idiot. No, I'm just kidding. But I was just watching and this guy was bullish on it. He's like, yeah, it'll be okay. It's just a short-term pump here. And I'm like, you know what? I looked straight at JP Morgan's charts and I'm like, this shit's going to zero. I'm just kidding. It's not going to zero. But
I saw someone else this morning talk about it, and they said it wasn't a big deal because on the Fed's favorite inflation data, they remove energy and food. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, but that energy cost is going to play into the price of everything else as well, and that's going to increase inflation. So unless they decide to strip out the price of everything from the inflation data, it's still going to impact it to some extent. I don't know if I'm being crazy right there. Like, this was like the head of the Wharton Business School. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm just like, dude, I think you're being a little too optimistic there.
Well, this is my point. In 2008, the banks and tons of investment firms effed up. They did not see the housing market crisis coming. And what happened? They were pricing CDOs unfairly until they had a position for those credit default swaps. And then they started pricing them appropriately because, it was in their favor. And this is what this seems like right now. Maybe not with credit default swaps or anything like that. Maybe they're doing that again. Who knows? But the point is, there definitely seems like institutions are offering you everything to make you think that this is bullish. They're offering you, savings accounts at 5%. CDs, 12-month CDs are going up like crazy. I think they want your money because they're fucked. But they don't want you to know that yet. And that's just a theory, but we've seen it happen before. Could play out again. History doesn't always repeat, but sometimes it rhymes. And I don't know. I got my tinfoil hat on with this one. And after seeing that JP Morgan and a couple of other people from other institutions, I don't know. This smells
it's
like
it's all a fugazi, okay? It's a fugazi, my man. Like, we can't trust any of these people.
100%.
Reagan's 100% right. I think maybe we need to do like a watch party. Maybe we need to do like a watch party where we all just hit play at the same time and we get out our popcorn and we get out our favorite bourbon and we just like have a good group watch of The Big Short. I think that is that's the play right there, because you are very right. Like, there is going to be some fucking shenanigans going on. There already is, and it's just gonna get so bad. Yeah, oh man.
Effed.
I am I am just like I said. I just want cash. And I asked you before the show, do we even keep it in the U.S. dollar at this point, or do we just like buy gold? Like this, the song remains the same, man. And I'm gonna make a Led Zeppelin reference right there. Do
Great
we
song.
keep? Where do we keep our money right now? I don't trust these banks. I don't trust the U.S. dollar at the moment. Do we go to gold? Are we going to? Are we going to the rupee? Are we going to the yuan? Like, what are we doing?
We are staying away from gold. Gold is an absolute bubble. I'm looking at that chart and I'm like, this is gonna take a big nasty fart straight down. It's got a massive dump. It's gonna be like one of those ones where you're in a gas station and you miss the toilet bowl and it just lands on the ground. That's what I see with gold.
Wait, hold on. Do you not know how to use a toilet properly if you're like shitting on the ground at a gas station?
Well, here's the thing. I like hover over the bowl, but sometimes you go in there and there's just already a pile of shit on the ground. So I'm assuming some truck driver's just like,
This
fuck it.
is there's a reason why we're the best in the business, and it's discussions like this.
100%. But yeah, gold. I'm not putting my money in gold. That just seems like there's very limited upside and maximum downside. But you made a really good point talking about the dollar, where we should put it. Let's take a look at the charts if you're ready. I just want to look at DXY. If you go to gold or silver, get small denominations. Good idea. Good idea. All right, let's see. This is the DXY chart. Again, we're looking at it on the daily. That blue line right there, 102.038, it says 35 there, but this has been massive support, and you can see it's still hanging right above it. We are like at the skin of our teeth right now, 102.93, just bouncing around here. And I'm looking at this daily chart, and we're so oversold, and we've been so oversold for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks now. What is today? April, 3 weeks, definitely, yeah. And then we look at the weekly, and the weekly is coming down nicely. That's the stochastic RSI. Hopefully by the end of the week is nice and oversold, so it gives us some opportunity. This is the thing that we need to keep an eye on. It's the technicals, because as we're seeing tons of other currencies, people swapping into other currencies, and then again, we're seeing as the dollar goes down, of course, this is going to build positions for risk assets to go up higher, potential short squeezes. It's just the value of the dollar is going down, so naturally risk assets are going to go up. It's been the entire play since the beginning of time. But point is, we're looking at this weekly needs to come down. I would love to see us get, what I'm looking at is a double bottom. This is 1, 2, 1, 2, but this is a big W double bottom pattern here. I would be absolutely ecstatic if we start seeing this pump to the upside after we get this to oversold, because it wasn't overbought for a period of time. It came straight down, and this was on tons of news. And when I'm looking at this oil news, I can't tell you why the dollar is dumping. I would honestly expect the dollar to be pushing up. So maybe it's some of the the yuan, people swapping out for the rupee, tons of the stuff like that globally. A lot of people are just losing faith in the dollar, but I'm technically not going to give up on the dollar just looking at the charts. And also the United States, as much as you want to shit on them, they're still the power in the world. They're number one. And I think that the dollar, for being the reserve currency for the time being for this bear market, and it's in the next bull run, dollar is probably going to be the strong one. I wouldn't bet against the dollar, and I wouldn't bet against the Fed, because whatever the US does is going to affect the entire world economy. And I would I'm not telling you to stick with the dollar, but I see the dollar making a good return to the upside. We're just going to see this double bottom here. This is what I'm seeing in the macro. One test of this line came up, got rejected. Here's a second test. We're not going to come down for a third test. I think we're going to go straight up over the next few months, as we see a lot of other things in the world eventually get worse. I expect inflation to spike now that oil is going up, especially if we get oil above $100. This is definitely going to play into the dollar getting strength again. And then we'll see. Maybe it doesn't go up to the height of 114 like we were anticipating. Maybe it goes down to, I don't know, like right here, 110 to 107, but it's definitely going to make a pretty good move to the upside, in my opinion. I think that there's just too much loading this up. This is like, I don't know, you're holding B and you're just going to have a super punch in Super Smash Bros. Like, you're going to Falcon punch this all the way to 107, 110, and we're going to see some really good price action with the dollar. So I'm not giving up on the dollar. I think a lot of what's going on is FUD, and I think that people are going to be surprised when a lot of the other news in the world, in the United States, affects the price of the dollar, and people just start, running scared, and they just start dumping it into cash.
Have you looked at oil yet? The chart for that?
What is it? WTI crude?
Yeah, the gap up when the futures opened yesterday after that news is wild, but almost an 8% gap up. And
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's a pretty good one. You bounced right off the 200 EMA on the daily. So again, this is one where when I was charting it about a month ago, I was like, maybe it's trading this parallel channel. And obviously, it broke out of it. But again, this shows you how important news is when it comes to trading, especially in the stock market, not necessarily in crypto. Crypto seems like it's a lot more technical. But when you look at the stock market and all these futures and crude oil, I know Brent's shot up to like 85 too today. But yeah, that's 100% news. I don't necessarily think that this is going to be something that we look at for the long term. You know what? I take that back. Monthly is nice and oversold. There's probably some room to go up to the upside over the next few months, and that would be absolutely catastrophic. So, if you're betting against oil, good luck. And that's not from Jim Cramer. That's from me. So, hopefully, that means something.
Oof. In the words of Jim Cramer, if you're bent against oil, I'll see you at your funeral.
Yeah, invite me to your funeral.
Invite me to your funeral. God, Jim, shut up. Anything else we want to look at before we wrap for the day?
Yeah, I want to look at just Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance. So, what I was talking about earlier was, there's a lot of things in play right now that are all just lining up very, very nicely. And one thing that's lining up really nicely is the dollar being nice and oversold, oil going up, which is going to affect, how the Fed interprets some of this inflation data. And we're looking at Bitcoin dominance, which is still strong and it's oversold on the daily. So that means there's still a good amount of time in the short term to go up. And I just want to look at Bitcoin because Bitcoin, I would not be surprised if we do see a short squeeze. Why is that? We're seeing low volumes right now. And, that's the monthly. Let's go to the daily. We're seeing extremely low volumes right around here. We're almost oversold on the daily. This just seems like if we're looking at this, we got 1, 2, like 3 waves to the upside. I think that this wave might not be done. We might have one more, just break above this. We're so close to the top and we haven't tested the bottom, which just tells me that there's going to be some massive spike. I don't know if that's going to be today, tomorrow. It's going to be at some point when people are least expecting it. And that's going to get people extremely stupidly bullish because it's above the supply zone. And once it gets above this 28,809, like 29K, might see 32. This would be the double. That'd be what? That'd be a double top of what we hit over here. We hit it around here somewhere. Found it as support right here in the bull run. Found it as support over here in the bull run. So I think that the max that we go is probably that level around 32, 33. And if that's the case, there's going to be massive people who are just opening up longs there. I think there's just a lot of shorts that are opening up too right now. Like people are like, okay, it's had a nice run. Maybe I should open up a short just to see what happens. Maybe I could, maybe I'm smarter than the centralized exchanges. Well, no, I don't think that's the case. That's only because they know more than you. They know what everyone's positions are. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a little pump to the upside. I think the monthly close for Bitcoin too, we were below the supply zone. However, if we look at that monthly stochastic RSI, we still have enough room to go up into the overbought. It doesn't have to go into the overbought, but I think we're so close. And, we get one more month where we just shoot up here. We get a wick up there. We'll probably be towards the upper channel where, we have tons of room to the downside. I mean, the last time we were overbought on the stochastic RSI on the monthly, let's see right here.
Kevin, here's the thing. And here's why I don't want Bitcoin to hit 30K. I don't want all the fucking moon boys to be able to take their victory lap and celebrate and screenshot all their tweets where they said that Bitcoin was going to 30K, because then my timeline is going to be insufferable and I'm going to want to put my head through a wall. And I don't want to, in this economy, spend the money or time to try to fix a hole in the wall that I'm going to put in there if I see Kaleo and some of these other guys going with a victory lap that Bitcoin hit 32K. So that is my hope right now.
Well, you and me differ because I would love to see it just, liquidate one more time, just go up higher. And you know how bearish I am, but what I see when that happens is just we're building it. This is the end of a corrective pattern to the upside, and it's just going to be down to the ends. These kids are not going to take profit. They're going to take screenshots, but they won't take profit. And that's going to be the worst thing possible because every institution has sold all their Bitcoin. That's not true. But most institutional investors, smart money, have absolutely dumped into the hands of retail. So the only people I think that can make this pump happen are the centralized exchanges for the time being. And I wouldn't be surprised if they already got their limits already put. So once it gets to that 32K, 33K around that area, they're just distributing it right back to the retail, and everyone is like dumping in their last of their savings. It's like they just got paid direct deposit, and there it goes, straight on the KuCoin. We're gonna make all our money back. We're gonna go to the moon. We don't have to work this job anymore. And then they realize that you're not gonna have to work this job because everyone's gonna get laid off because it's the macro environment in the entire world. Unemployment has to go up. So it's going to be insane, but I think that we are going to see a little bit push to the upside. I think we're absolutely due for freaking negative, to the downside. When I look at the weekly on Bitcoin, I mean, this is just insanity how much we've been up for the longest. Like, this is overbought. Last time we were overbought here, we were still coming down in price. We've been overbought, and we're staying overbought for a period of time, and the prices continues to push up. But the volumes are coming down, and that tells me that there's huge divergence. We're seeing tons of open interest, being super low, which means that not a lot of positions are being opened. So it'll be really interesting to see Bitcoin going to 50K. Yeah, after 10K, but it's got to make a quick stop. It's like,
oh my God. Wow. Bitcoin going to 50K. Riggs, when do you think it's going to 50K? I need answers here. Yeah, and then House, that's a great question on the U.S. government sell-off. I mean, they sold off the first chunk and didn't tell us for a few weeks after that. So Lord knows when they're going to sell off these next 4 portions of it. I don't think they've made that deal with Justin Sun, selling to him at a 10% discount. Why would they? And, maybe the government's just going to show why they're a better trader than us. They're just going to DCA out at the right times, and we're all going to be sitting here holding our dicks while they take a bunch of money. So, there you go. You got to love the government.
That's because Nancy's in the Pentagon right now, literally fucking all of us. She's just going back and forth, just screwing crypto traders, the stock market. She's just going to liquidate all of us. She's the most experienced trader out of the entire U.S. citizen population. Yeah. But that's a joke, even though it's not. But
she's gonna wait till the government. She's gonna find out when they're gonna sell their Bitcoin. Price is gonna drop, and then she's gonna come in and buy Bitcoin, and then wait for it to come back up. Find out when it's gonna sell their next portion. It's just gonna be this back and forth cycle. I can't wait, and nothing's gonna happen. And it's gonna be so awesome to watch it all play out.
Oh, I love it. Let's just look at Bitcoin dominance real quick, because I have this theory. I have a really, really good theory where you might see a really good short possibility where you can potentially short. But Bitcoin dominance is coming down. We were pretty high. I think we opened up this. Got the ice machine going behind me again. Nice. The height was 47.8 today, and last night our height was 47.9. So we were very close to hitting 48%. But when I look at this, and I'm looking more so on the daily, we're nice and oversold. We're taking a.
Can you unplug the ice machine before our shows from now on?
I think it will just come out water then. But at least they'll have some type of liquid. Something would be liquid in these markets. But yeah, looking this here, 47.41% currently. Stochastic RSI is extremely oversold. I think we're going to see one more push to the upside. And this would coincide with Bitcoin going to 32, 33K. I think this could potentially bring us, let's go to the weekly. This could bring us to about 51.5, this 200 EMA. I have a funny feeling this just wants to test it. Just wants to give it one little kiss, one little peck before we start to see Bitcoin just absolutely tank and take Bitcoin dominance down with it, as all the money in the entire crypto market just disappears. Where does it go? I don't know. Not in our pockets, probably into someone else's. But the point is, looking at this 200 EMA, that's one level I'm eyeing like crazy when it comes to Bitcoin dominance. That would be majority market cap would be Bitcoin. And that would mean alts wouldn't be pushing up. We wouldn't see a pump from alts at all. We would have potential oil at over $100 a barrel. You would have, inflation rising, and you'd have a dollar that's completely oversold as inflation's rising. That means the dollar's going to shoot up, the risk assets are going to go down, Bitcoin's going to tank, and it's going to take all alts with it. That could be an absolute amazing, short position that you could have for a lot of alts. I'm not saying there won't be liquidations along the way. It might, bounce up and down. But if the dollar's strong, inflation continues to rise, rates are going to, keep being hiked, and alts have no strength against Bitcoin. I mean, that's just seems, it smells too good to be true. And I got excited by it when I was looking at it last night, and I'm still excited about it. And I will be telling everybody I see on the bus ride home how excited I am about it.
Did you hear about Bitcoin dominance? Did you hear about Bitcoin dominance? Like Kevin's going to be just a squirrel chasing his nut, telling everyone about Bitcoin dominance on the bus ride later. I think that's probably a good place for us to call it a day, Kev. Any final thoughts before we wrap it for this awesome Monday?
No, just I hope everyone has a great day. Be excited. Even though there's a lot of stuff that's bad on the horizon, if you know how to play this game, there's a lot to be excited about. Just make sure you protect your wealth as always.
Yes, sir. Wu-Tang Financial said, got to diversify your bonds. So that's where we're going to wrap it for today. Awesome show. Appreciate everybody who was here to watch. Appreciate all the love on social media, Riggs, Mr. House, everybody. It's really awesome. Your support means the world to us. So if you're still here and you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, drop some comments, share us out on social media. You guys are awesome. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Kev, have an awesome rest of your Monday. I hope the markets don't implode before I see you next.
Yeah, take care. Be safe.
Later, everybody.